Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Friday, the 24th of July. Reading with Robert Murray McShane. Today we read Mark chapter 5 as well as Jeremiah 20, and there's a link there. In Mark's Gospel, Jesus goes back to his hometown, and the people there say, "Who is this? We know his mother and his brothers and sisters, and we know he's a carpenter. Where does he get this from?" And they take offense at him. And in verse 4 we're told, Jesus said to them, "A prophet is not without honor except in his own town, among his relatives, and in his own home." He could not do any miracles there, except lay his hand on a few people who were ill and heal them. He was amazed at their lack of faith. And so here is Jesus amongst people who ought to have rejoiced at what he was doing, and they didn't. And he had to accept that. Then moves on to look at John the Baptist, and tells how people are saying, "Who is this?" And people are saying, "It's John the Baptist brought back to life." Others are saying he was a prophet, and it ends up in verse 16, "But when Herod heard this, he said, 'John, whom I beheaded, has been raised from the dead.'" And Mark then goes and records the story of John's imprisonment and beheading by Herod. So Jesus' rejection and John's beheading paints a picture of things not going terribly well, and the kind of tensions that one lives with, and the way that their life doesn't always go right. And some people will support you and love you, other people will reject you and take offense at you, and some people may even try to kill you. It's the way of life. And this is echoed in Jeremiah, who when one of the priests heard what he was saying, had him arrested, put in stocks overnight, berated him, and he was slandered by everybody. And he ended up with, in chapter 20, verse 14, he prays and he says, "Cursed be the day I was born. May the day my mother bore me not be blessed. Cursed be the man who brought my father the news, who made him very glad, saying, 'A child is born to you, a son.'" And so Jeremiah looks back and thinks, "Oh, life is so bad, I wish I'd never been born." Verse 18, he says, "Why did I ever come out of the womb to see trouble and sorrow and to end my days in shame?" And what I like about that is not the pessimism, but the realism. Here is Jeremiah in a terrible situation, and he can pray realistically to God. He can open his heart. He can plead his case. He can make his point. He doesn't have to dress it up and pretend and say, "Oh God, I'm pretending I'm fine," when I'm not. And God doesn't expect us to pretend. He wants us to be honest with him. And when life goes badly, as it did with all of these people, to come to God and say, "God, I don't know why this is happening. I don't know what's happening. Why is this going on?" We can complain to God. But underneath it all is a faith that God is there. And though we don't understand, though it doesn't make sense, though we don't have the strength to live in the moment of the pain and the suffering and everything else, we know that God is still there with us. And therefore we can live knowing that ultimately it will sort itself out. But today we can complain and weep and moan. The Bible has it all over the show, and God is not surprised. Indeed, as we come to him like that, I believe he's pleased that we're opening our hearts to him, for him to touch and heal. Be blessed.